Today, I will be interviewing my grandmother, Jane Moretz, and I'm going to be asking her questions to help me with my developmental paper. Jane, can you tell me about your family?
I had two sisters, Marilyn and Scotty. I had a little brother that passed away when he was 8 months old from a rare blood disease, which would probably be able to be cured today with medicines. I worked very hard on a farm. My parents were very religious and disciplined.
Okay. What were some diseases that ran in your family?
On my mother's side, diabetes and arthritis and depression. And my father's side, some arthritis, but also strokes and heart attacks.
Okay. Can you tell me what your teenage years were like? And when did you first remember meeting a boyfriend?
Well, during school, I worked on the farm. Me and my sisters had chores that we had to do. We also helped our mother in the house, not with the cooking, but with the cleaning up part. I met my first real boyfriend when I was a teenager at Ford. I would go to the grocery store with my mother, and this boy was weighing the produce and started flirting with me. And I started flirting back, and we just become real close friends. He wanted to date me, but at that time, I didn't care a lot about guys. But he ended up joining the Air Force. And when he came home on leave, he would call me and want to come over and visit. And we finally had a date in the summer of 1966, I believe.
Okay. Did you later go on to marry this man?
Yes, we got married when I was 18 years old, October the 20th, 1968. We had a great marriage. That's when I moved out of the house. I lived at my parents' home until we got married. And we moved to a small apartment in Hickory, and then bought our first home in 1969.
Okay. And what was your first job like during this time of moving out of home?
When I graduated from Ford, I went to work at the JCPenney company in the Catawba Mall. I worked in the credit and layaway department. That job consisted of taking payments, putting clothes on layaway, and letting the customers would come in and check them out. And I would go get their layaway and bring it to them and collect the rest of the money. Credit collections was they would come in and pay their credit card bills.
Very nice. When did you and Bo decide it was time to have any kids, if you did have any, and were there any complications with this?
We waited 5.5 to 6 years to have our first child, and it was a little girl. Her name was Angie. And I had, due to a lot of labor problems, the doctor suggested that I not get pregnant again. And in 1985, I was diagnosed with endometriosis and had a complete hysterectomy.
Okay. Moving on to your later years of life and what you are now, what was your biggest challenge in your late adulthood, and how did it affect you mentally and physically?
My biggest challenge was losing my husband, Bo, after 46 wonderful years of marriage. It affected me mentally and physically. Basically, made me very sad. I had to go on to start taking some depression medicine. I gained quite a bit of weight as his caregiver because I was pretty much stuck at the house most of the time, even though I still worked a full-time job.
Okay. And what did you do to cope with this weight?
There was a program called Zingulair, and it was based on protein and probiotics, along with some weight loss medicines and a small exercise program. And I went on that and was able to drop 50-some pounds.
Okay. And losing your husband, what are some things that you had to cope with, such as bills or finances?
Well, of course, we had built a larger home, and I have to take care of that, plus all of the yard work, paying the bills.
Okay, and are you retired?
I am retired. I worked in the furniture industry for 40 years and then went to Lenore Ryan University and worked there as an administrative assistant and retired after 10 years from working there.
And what do you do now?
I am secretary and treasurer of my church, Sardis Lutheran in Hickory. And I also work another job, which basically is a full-time job, scheduling surveyors on the coast of North Carolina that do these big building developments. I enjoy it. I get to work from home, and it's very rewarding and keeps my brain strong.
I bet working at a church is also very rewarding since you grew up in a religious household.
It is very rewarding. It is the church that I grew up in, so I know everybody. And of course, know the history of the church. It's very fulfilling.
Losing a spouse seems hard. Who or what helped you navigate this and overcome this?
My grandchildren, and my daughter, they make sure that I stay busy and basically don't ever have a period of time to where there's something not going on. They pick me up, they take me on trips, and we just, even if it's just to go get a cone of ice cream, they make sure that I'm entertained somehow.
Very nice. Well, thank you for letting me interview you today.
Well, thank you for thinking of me.
You're welcome.